Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now, before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions, as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another fan show. My name is Chris Cowlin and today I'll be joined by Craig Darren, and we will also be joined by many Spurs fans from around the world. We have got some good news for once as Tottenham fans right now. Conor Gallagher to Tottenham. Here we go. Fabrizio Romano has given the here we go. The player has just informed Atletico Madrid about his decision to join Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Spurs are set to pay €40 million fee. Permanent deal to beat Aston Villa. Aston Villa did agree a deal with Atletico Madrid today, but Leave Race as player did not give final green light. Now, please do get involved in the fan show. I would love to bring on as many guests as possible. If you'd like to appear on a future fan show, please do. Just send me an email. It is tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com, and it'd be great to talk to you. We're live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and on X. So, yeah, get involved. If you don't want to come on the show, get involved. Tell us how you're feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan in the comments. Now, joining me is Craig Darren. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, nearly there. We're nearly there. Moved very quickly, this one, hasn't it? It's moved very quickly. Somebody said in the comments exactly what I said. Big up, Chris. Sounds like a Poch signing.
Here we go.
Absolutely.
We're not even 3 minutes in. He's mentioned Pochettino already. I'll tell you what, Craig. I don't know whether we should share what we or what mood of the conversation we had. We had a phone call earlier, you and I, and we were quite miserable, weren't we?
Yeah, very. But some more than others. But yeah. Yeah.
Now we've got smiles on our faces.
It's amazing what a signing can do. Just a bit of good news, and look, it's hopefully the first of many. There's been rumours out there that it's not going to be the last. This isn't going to be the last signing. There's going to be at least one more big one. So let's hope so.
Yep, indeed. Well, let me just say, David Ornstein from The Athletic, he did actually break this story about Tottenham Hotspur closing in on the deal to sign Conor Gallagher, because Craig, you and I recorded a transfer show only a couple of hours ago, and it looked like earlier on today he was joining Aston Villa, and Spurs have hijacked this deal. I'm absolutely delighted because I think Conor Gallagher is a top player, both defensively, offensively, box to box midfielder. Very, very good player. Premier League experience, real leader on and off the pitch. And I think this is a fantastic signing for Tottenham in this January transfer window, and a really, really good fee at that as well. I want to go straight to the guests, and we're going to go straight to Dustin in Singapore. I can see that he's brought stats. He's brought facts. He brings a lot to this channel. Dustin, how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, very good.
Dustin.
It's 5 a.m. now.
Do you sleep?
You see what we do? We get people out of bed because we want to talk about our new signings. Dustin, how excited are you at 5 a.m. about signing Conor Gallagher?
I'm excited about us getting a signing through. Whether Conor Gallagher specifically is the signing I think we need the most. I don't have crystal ball to the end of the window, but I do hope that it means that we are seriously getting the checkbook out and not fussing about and finally getting signings across the line. Whether I think Conor Gallagher is the signing we need, I don't think it solves our main problem, which is central ball progression. I think it is. There are some people saying that they think it's a Pochettino signing. I think it's not necessarily for just Pochettino. I think it could be a Frank signing as well, because it is the kind of midfielder that he likes. He plays banter, Paulinho, and Conor Gallagher is a better, Bentancur, or he's a Paulinia with better box to box and carrying attributes. But in terms of like having central midfield progression and better passes, that's not specifically what he does. If you have the stat up, which is like corner stats, basically he is I think 33rd percentile or something like that for progressive passes. So one of the things that he will help us with, and if you look at what he does goal contributions. He does, he has good pass completion, so he won't lose the ball. He does progressive carries, and we need that in the center of the park. But progressive passes, you can see, is 31st percentile. So, in terms of having a central midfield player that can help us break the lines with his passes, it's not Conor Gallagher. It's a good start, but I hope that it's not the main midfield signing, because we have many other priorities that we need to fulfill if we're going to improve. The reason I feel like this is a Frank signing is because it's the kind of midfield that he likes.
Do you think it stunts Archie Gray's progress bringing in Conor Gallagher, Dustin?
I don't see it as stunting his progress, because one thing about like youth team prospects or youth players is that it stunts their progress more to be over relied on in a position that they're too inexperienced for, and the fans go, this guy will never work, get him out of my club. So I think that there is a balance to how we bleed in youngsters. And you said earlier that Poch was mentioned very early in this podcast, right? But one thing that Poch did was that he would get a signing, especially a young player, and he wouldn't put him in immediately. And it was a very long process of like introducing young players into the team, because I think that what he's very conscious of is not having a young player put in the team exposed to a lot of negativity from fans when they are young, inexperienced, inevitably make mistakes. So there is a process for making sure that players get put in, progress, and are allowed to make mistakes and not have their confidence dented permanently. So I think that I don't see it as stunting Gray's progress as much as it is allowing Gray to rotate, get minutes, and not necessarily be overplayed to the point that he becomes Poro, where he plays so much that the standard of his play drops, and then people go, get this guy out of my club.
Dustin, we always ask as fans that we want Premier League experience. We want leaders to come in. We're certainly getting that with Gallagher, aren't we?
Yes, potentially. Him being a former Chelsea captain is a question. I mean, we do seem to sign a lot from Chelsea, in both managers and players. Look, he's not gotten minutes, so I think that a big part in getting a good fee for him is it being a World Cup year. I think he's played like 6 games for Atletico Madrid, so he's probably desperate to make it into the England team. And I think we need to recognize as well that we are potentially offering him more value, and whether he offers us enough value in return remains to be seen. I think this is very much a reaction to Bentancur's injury, and we can expect to see him slot in immediately. I have question marks over what that means for we are overstacked in midfield for that profile already, to a certain extent. When Sarr comes back, we will have another player with similar ball carrying attributes. So we need more passes, and I'm happy to have a signing across the board, but we need more progressive passes than another midfield of this profile.
Yeah.
Dustin, you brought some slides in here. Should we put those on screen?
Yeah, sure. It's kind of, I don't want to pour cold water on the signing, but I think with the Villa game we saw with their first goal, why I keep banging on about central ball progression, they cut us apart with like 4 passes down the midfield. And that's why I think the issue I have with this is that central midfielders like solve our ball progression problem, and when we do play down the center, we do create much better chances. But Frank doesn't prioritize it. We played 11 true passes the entire season. right? And there are literally 9 players that have more through balls than our entire team. So we're at the bottom of the league for through passes. What this means is that, I did these slides before we signed Conor Gallagher, but we're linked to box midfielders and DMs. And what this means is that these signings are long term, right? So the issue is that we then sign players that are locked into these positions for a manager that plays a specific style. Whether this profile of player necessarily fits, I don't know what happens with Frank's future. You've now signed a long-term player-ish for him. Poch likes him as well, so maybe could be something like, we have a backdoor to Poch asking him, who do you want in the summer after the World Cup? And that's a potential reason we signed him. But it seems to me more like a Bentancur replacement.
Yeah. He could. Do you think we've touched on it, Dustin, already, but do you think Conor Gallagher was already on their list? Do you think he was always on the list, or is this reactive because of the Bentancur situation? And I know you've mentioned it, but do you think that just heightened? It does in a way. It does in a way, because I put a tweet out earlier. I think it's good. Absolutely kudos, not the player, kudos to the club for actually acting fast and solving a problem. Absolutely. But do you think this is an extra signing, Dustin, I suppose is what I'm asking, to the plan, whatever this plan is the club have got?
I don't think the club have a plan because we don't have a director of football. We had an innovative dual football director structure that didn't last any longer than Liz Truss letters, right? So we have one of our directors of football going to a relegation candidate in Serie A, and just before the window started. So in terms of joined up thinking, I know that Conor Gallagher is identified and we've gone for him in the past, but it's very much like the modern day Leandro Damião. We're linked with him every transfer window, and eventually we've gotten it over the line. But I think it's more a case of, I'm not going to say it's purely a monetary signing, but he's young, he's English, English players retain value because of the homegrown slots and everything. So from an economics point of view, it makes sense for the club, and whether he fits into our team is a different story. But it strikes me as an unique club signing because he retains value well. And I know you might not like to hear that, and I do believe that he has attributes that are useful to us, but this doesn't strike me as the signing that means the club means business. This is a signing where the club goes, oh, this is a no-brainer because he's going to retain value, and even if he doesn't work here, we can sell him on for a profit.
Dustin, lastly, let's get your opinion on Thomas Frank. Does he get through this tough spell? Because if you go online, if you go into the stadium, it doesn't matter who you talk to at the moment. There are a lot of people doubting Thomas Frank. Yes, there are some people out there who still believe that it's really going to work. How do you see this panning out with Thomas Frank? Because he is under a lot of pressure from the fan base right now.
So we work together on Talking Tottenham Tactics. My next video in full length is going to be about this. But if you put on the slides, I have a very succinct summary about how my thinking has changed. Now, I've always felt that you don't sack managers unless you have a good replacement. The reason for that is that it causes a lot of instability. It causes the longest period of transition for a club because a lot of players will then maybe need to be refreshed. A new manager comes in, he wants to give every player a fair chance. He needs to see every youth team player, everything. So it creates like at least a season and a half of a new manager coming in and the club not being able to progress in selling players they should sell, getting new players in that they need. And so that's the case against sacking managers in general. Now, where that calculus changes is if the downside outweighs the stability benefits, and that's when you're potentially going to lose players. So we've never heard rumors about Van der Ven, Romero, Dragusin, Richarlison. Previously, Richarlison turned down Saudi clubs to stay with us, and now, since the latest week, we've got multiple players and rumors about our players looking for move away. This is not a coincidence. These are players activating their agents to start the rumor mill going so that bidding wars can start and things like that. So the only time I think that you sack a manager or change the manager when you don't have a better replacement is when you're at the risk of losing your best players. And I think that if you had to choose 3 players in our squad that you should build the team around, you could safely say it's probably Van der Ven, it's probably Romero, it's probably Bergwijn. People might disagree on who the top 3 players are, but I think high regularity, you'll see Van der Ven and Romero there. Now, if you have rumors that both are looking to move away because they're frustrated with how things are going at the club, that is potentially a time where you go, the stability of keeping a manager, it's more unstable losing 3 of your best players, right? And while Bergwijn hasn't said he wants to go, I don't think he said no to Barcelona to come to Spurs to be their second best long throw taker.
As well, I think me and Craig have touched on this a couple of times in this last week, Dustin, that the fact that the players, especially Captain Romero with his comments that he wrote on social media, he expects big ambition from the football club. All of us fans expect it and demand that, but the players certainly, our top players like Van der Ven and Romero, they will be thinking, what are we doing in transfer windows, and they want top players to be playing alongside them in the team, and they want to be shooting up that league table. They certainly don't want to be sitting in 14th and being out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round and being out of the League Cup early on as well. This is exactly why players like Tell and Kinski are probably wanting loans at the moment, because they're not going to get game time in cup competition. So yeah, it's frustrating, but I think this is a good start in the January transfer window. I know we're 12 days in, but it looks like we're going to get this 19-year-old Santos left back Sousa through the door. Apparently, he's going to have his medical either today or tomorrow. And of course, Conor Gallagher now walking through the door. Dustin, thank you so much for all the work that you do on this channel. We look forward to your next episode being released very soon. And yeah, thanks so much for all you do.
Cheers.
Cheers, Dustin.
Right. Let's now go to South Africa to speak to Linton. Linton, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Better after the news about Conor Gallagher, but as Craig says, once he's holding up the shirt, then we know that's happening for sure.
See? Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we were burnt after Eze, so yeah, because we had a here we go with him as well.
That's a polite way of saying, Linton, calm down until they're holding up the shirt. I know a lot of people say that. How are you feeling about this one, Linton? Conor Gallagher walking through the door. What do you make of him as a Spurs signing?
Very positive. I think it's a really good signing. He's got Premier League experience, which is something that we've been asking for. He's a leader. He's got that captaincy experience, and I just think all round he's a really good player. And I think he'll, in the centre of the midfield, I think he'll pick up the players around him. We're speaking earlier about Archie Gray. I think it'll be good for Archie Gray because of the experience that Conor Gallagher has, and that will rub off on Archie Gray. And I think so. Yeah, very, very happy with the signing.
Would you think? I would ask you the same question, Linton. You could easily say that it's a Bentancur replacement, but could Gallagher be considered to be a Bissouma replacement as well, and that he was on the club's list all the time? And we know they've chased him for several windows now.
I think he has been. You're right. We have chased him for several windows, but I don't think he would have been a priority signing now. But with Bentancur breaking down and being injured now, he has become a priority, and that's why they've kind of beaten Aston Villa to the signing. So it wasn't, I think, at the beginning of the window, it wasn't on their list to sign him, but it's now become a priority because our midfield is very short at the moment. And yes, when Bissouma comes back from the AFCON, we will get him back. But for me, there's there's no comparison between Gallagher and Basuma. Gallagher gets ahead of him all day long.
It's very important, though, Linton, isn't it, that we bring in, good, solid players, physical players. Thomas Frank always uses that word, physicality. You're definitely going to get that with Conor Gallagher, and box-to-box midfielder, very good defensively, very good offensively as well.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. And Dustin was speaking about his ball progression, but in his progressive carries, I mean, he's in the 82nd percentile, so he's quite high there. Also, total shots, he's at 79%. And for goals as well, he's in the 84th percentile. So in those percentiles, and if you look at his stats, there's a lot more green, and he's in a lot higher percentages. Okay, his ball progression is pretty low, but his carries are high, his tackle rate is high, and he scores goals as well. So all around, I think he is a pretty good signing.
There's a good point being made actually in the chat here. Gallagher's played 35 minutes average per game, thanks for that Colombo 777. Why do you think he's not getting in the Atletico team, Linton? Do you think his form's dropped off? Because I must admit, I don't watch much Spanish football. Or do you think it's just one of those things that players out of favour and he's moving because he wants more game time to get into that England setup?
I think it is that. I do think he wants more game time because he wants to try and get into England set up for the World Cup. So I think that's a big factor. I also don't watch much Spanish football, so I don't know who he's competing against. And it also depends on what the manager's plans on and how he sees his midfielders. So I think that there's a number of factors that go into it. But certainly, he may not be getting many minutes there, but he certainly will. And I think that's also why he's chosen Spurs, because he knows, at the moment especially, he's certainly a guaranteed starter.
Linton, how are you feeling overall as a Spurs fan? What have you made of this season, and how are you feeling about Thomas Frank right now?
The season's been extremely disappointing, and that's probably an understatement. But yeah, it's been it's very reminiscent to last season. Thomas Frank, I would have liked to have seen some improvement. From game to game, improvement. If we look at that PSG game at the beginning of the season, the Super Cup final, I mean, the way we played there and the way we're playing now, I mean, I would have thought it to be the reverse, And it's the problem is he's not improving any players. I don't think he's getting the best out of anybody. I can't think of anybody who's really improved, and those are things that are concerning for me. He's not improving players. He's certainly not improving the team. So how much time does he need? I personally think that we're going to persist until the end of the season, and then I think there's a certain Argentinian that they may get in. But and I think that would be a good thing from the point of view, he knows Conor Gallagher. The Argentinian link with Romero may keep him at the club. So, if that does happen, I certainly hope that does happen. But I can't see Frank going on past the end of the season at worst. But I think the next two Premier League games are the determining factor, West Ham and Burnley. If those aren't 6 pointers, then he's in serious trouble. I mean, we have to get 6 points out of those two games for sure.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say, Linton, about any people that you want to see come in? What other positions do you want to see Tottenham go for players in?
One of the players I'd certainly like to see come in is Magnus Akliush from Monaco. I think he'd be a really, really good player, and I'm hoping, that there is something developing in the background there. But that's certainly a player we need, and I think he'd be a great asset to the side. That's certainly one player I'd like to see us sign.
Linton, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Have a good show.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Linton. See you later.
Just wanted to say, Craig, since Conor Gallagher moved from Chelsea, in the 2 seasons that he's been at Atletico Madrid so far, he's played 51 league games in La Liga, scoring 5 goals. Overall, in all competitions for the Spanish side, 77 appearances, 7 goals. Do you think he's going to come straight in and start the game? Because he hasn't had a lot of game time this season or recently. Do you think he's going to come straight in and play against West Ham? Because that's probably the perfect game for him to start, isn't it?
It is, and these players, just because they don't play, he's fit. He is fit, so to speak. I don't know if Thomas Frank's the sort of manager just to throw somebody straight in this situation. It's possible, isn't it? It's definitely possible. So yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, we're light on midfielders, aren't we? So it really sort of picks itself, the midfield at the moment. But
light on players overall.
We are.
Right, we're now going to bring in Alex. Phil, we will come to you next. Alex, good evening to you. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a so-so weekend. Spurs included in that, but I have to say, the signing of Conor Gallagher, that's in the right direction. I have to say, I didn't think that was going to happen. To be honest with you, I didn't think it was going to happen at all.
Alex,
it's a clear one.
Give us a smile. Come on, give us a smile.
What do you mean? What do you mean? No, I'm fine. No, honestly, no. It's exactly what we need. He's not. I'd say distinguish him like a Henderson, for instance. He's an athlete. He's an athlete, but he's exactly what we need. It's exactly what I cannot complain about him whatsoever. You know what I mean? Because it's something that we need. We need a leader. He's homegrown. We're lucky that he wants more game time and didn't go to Aston Villa. And for me, he has to start. To be honest with you, so I think he's perfect for what we need at the moment. Yeah, I think it's a very good. It's a great signing at the moment, and that for me.
Is it an upgrade? Is it an upgrade, Alex?
He's a massive upgrade than what we've got at the moment. At the moment, we're putting 2 kids in our midfield. At the moment, we don't have to put kids in our midfield. They're learning from somebody that's learned from Chelsea. At Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, played at Crystal Palace as well on loan. So, for me, I think it's definitely in the right direction. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I can't. I'm a bit pleased about that signing, to be honest with you, because he is defense. He will improve what we've got at the moment. You know what I mean? And also kick some people's at the back sides as well. To be honest with you, it'd be interesting to see how them Romero and him react to each other. It'd be interesting. You know what I mean?
There's just been some news from David Ornstein from The Athletic. He has stated that Conor Gallagher is expected to fly to England on Tuesday, which of course is tomorrow, to undergo medical and finalise details on long-term contract ahead of joining Tottenham Hotspur from Atletico Madrid. Agreement reached between Tottenham and Atletico over €40 million permanent deal. So his medical will take place on Tuesday. Alex, what else would you like to see Spurs do in this transfer window?
I don't know I don't know what else. If I had my wish list, I'd say I think we definitely need a left midfielder. I think we need a right midfielder, a winger as well. If I had the striker, get a striker right now. At the moment, we've got the left back, which I don't even count as a left back as far as I'm concerned. I think there's a lot more I would love to get at the moment, but I think the most crucial thing at the moment is I think we need a right winger and a left winger at the moment. I think that's the main thing at the moment. If I had my choice at the moment, looking at what's available at the moment, I think and who's experienced, I would look at Lookman all day long. Adele Lookman all day long for me. Premier League experience, played in Italy, been in Europe as well. I think for me that's what we need at the moment, because we've lost goals in Brendan Johnson. So even though I think it was a good decision, but to get rid of him, but we didn't get. We need somebody to replace him, because we didn't even replace Heung-min Son. So yeah, I think those are the things that I would try and replace at the moment, in terms of who we need at the moment for January, I'll say. But the squad needs a lot more at the moment, especially with the injuries we've got at the moment. I think that's the main thing at the moment, isn't it, really? You know what I mean? So,
yeah, Alex, but is this, I know it's early days. Well, it's not really, but you know what I mean. First signing, we've gone in there. We haven't asked for a loan with obligation to buy. We haven't messed around. Looks like we've got the signing over the line. Is this a new way of Spurs doing business? Is ENIC actually living up to what they've said they're going to do? Are they backing Thomas Frank? Are they actually supplying a manager with players he wants? Is this the start of things to come, I suppose I'm asking?
This is reactive. I'm sure of it. I am absolutely sure of it. I think we heard earlier, and I think I was on the show with you, Chris, a couple of days ago. I've said quite clearly that things are not rosy behind the scenes, and you can read between the lines. I think I've seen so many reports about I've made a lot of, you know, my feelings on Paraty, but I've seen a lot of reports about Paraty now leaving the club, and he wanted Frank out, and I've heard Igor Tudor, he wanted him in, otherwise and sack Frank as interim, and they said no. So at the moment we're in a stage where all their focus is on Thomas Frank at the moment. So the worry for me is, at the moment, is if we do sack Thomas Frank, you're going to be left with the manager being chosen by Johan Lang, who I think should be sacked, and Vinay, and that is very, very concerning for me at the moment. And I don't think it was Vinay or Johan Lang that got Gallagher in. I don't think that's their style. I don't think it is. I think it was Paraty. I think it was Paraty, because that's why he's staying to the end of the transfer window. And I don't even rate Paraty. I want all of them done, finished, get rid of them. Honestly, start it all again. You know what I mean? Start it all again. Get somebody stronger in there. Give a vision. Give a identity. Please get me anyone. Paul Mitchell, someone who's got an identity, got a vision. Tell me what I want. Tell what the fans want, and that's it. Move forward. But I just don't see it at the moment. But yeah, at the moment, I think it's I just don't believe it at the moment, guys. I really don't. But for this signing at the moment, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer for me. It's an absolute no-brainer. What happens next? I think you need more. I think you definitely need more, because because I think what Conor Gallagher gives me at the moment is that sort of guy. Who is it back in the day when we were in trouble? Palacios sort of vibes, you know, someone that can just get the ball and just, you know, get going. You know what I mean? Because, you know, back then we were really, really in trouble. I think we're in the same place right now, to be honest with you. I think we're in the same place right now, and I think that's what hopefully can shake up a few people as well for me. You know, because I was a bit concerned as well that we'll have to bring back Basuma as well, and that's funny as well, isn't it? You know what I mean? Basuma. Well, you know, we know what's happened with Basuma, isn't it? You know what I mean? It doesn't look good, doesn't it? Really. Yeah, I think what I'm hoping at the moment is we can get this to the end of the season, and then we'll see what happens. But I think there's a lot of changes I would like to make at the moment, especially at the top for me.
Alex, how do you think Thomas Frank's time at Tottenham will pan out? Because he said in a press conference the other day, you know, this is a tough period. we've got to get through it. He seems very confident the board are very much behind him at the moment. How do you feel about Thomas Frank, and does he get that support back from the fans? Because there are a lot, and I mean a lot of fans. I don't even need to tell you that. You know yourself. There are a lot of fans doubting Thomas Frank right now.
For me, at the moment, I think he needs to prove himself. I've said that from the very, very beginning. I do feel sorry for him for certain things, but certain things I don't think he's helped himself. I think he's in a situation where a club is not secure. I think the problem I have at the moment is the top, and I think that is not secure at the moment. And because those are not those that are backing Frank are not secure, I think his position is not sure at the moment as well for me. And the football is going to be an issue with the fans as well. It's a kind of an issue with me as well, for me, if I'm really honest with you as well. Because
let me also, sorry to interrupt, let me also throw
on,
in there. Do you think that the fan base overall ought to give Thomas Frank more time and patience?
I couldn't say yes to that, no, because I think really with it goes back to what I said at the beginning. I think he needs to prove himself, and it goes back to what I said with Pochettino. And I always refer back to Pochettino because I didn't like him in the first place.
Every guest on this show so far has brought up the name Pochettino.
Yeah,
and people say I talk about him. Every guest.
Yeah, it's not that I want him back, because I don't think if he comes back in this setup, I don't think he's going to work, right? Because I think you need to sort out what's going on the top and find out what you want as identity and what you want. But I didn't like Pochettino at the start, but he persuaded me in the second season. And who was his director of football at the time? Paul Mitchell. You know what I mean? And I think there was a correlation of what I was seeing, and that's what's happening at the moment. I'm not seeing that at the moment. So the only reason why I will keep Frank at the moment, I'm very, very worried if we get rid of him and we haven't got a clue what we want. We ain't got a clue. Difference is, Chris, and I do apologise because I have been on the show with you, and I might have said this before to you, yeah? Craig hasn't been there, but I do apologise to you, yeah? Because I don't like repeating myself to people because it gets a bit boring. But the point is, though, yeah? The difference is, Daniel Levy, when Daniel Levy was here, at least he had a plan. At least he would say, oh, I'll get an interim in. I'll get this person in to help us. You know what I mean? Just to the end of the season. And then he'll get somebody else in, and he'll have his instinct of who he wants. I'm looking at who we've got at the moment, and I really do worry. If we sat Frank, and I think it will happen. I think there is logical thinking that it will happen if we do get beaten by West Ham, or we don't get a result against West Ham, or we don't get a result against Burnley. I think he will definitely. I think there will be rumblings of him going, because the fan base will turn, and I think there's no. They won't put up with it anymore, especially in the home games. I don't think they will have it. But my worry is at the moment is that I don't think they've got a clue who they want, and it will be a situation where we're going to put somebody in who's random in charge, and that's where my issue is at the moment. And if you don't have a sort of an instinct what you want to do, it can go completely downhill. One thing I do hope is that the players will do what they did under Ange in the cup final and the last part of the cup final, because that was on the players, it wasn't on Ange. Is that they will work hard to keep the club afloat until the end of the season, because they can do it. They can do it. They've shown that. They've shown the unity to get through to win a cup. So, you know what I mean? So there shouldn't be any issues of saying, oh, we ain't got the coach. We don't like the coach. Well, sorry. Like, do you want to be the team that is going to be known for finishing low, very low again after last season being 17th? You know what I mean? So I think it's really a case of, for me personally, I don't care if Frank goes. And if Frank does go, I don't really care. I wouldn't care less, to be honest with you. my issue has been about what is the identity, what do we want, and how we're going to move forward, and how we're going to do that. And that will always be my issue at the moment, because that's why I've never liked a manager since Pochettino. That's why I've never liked it, because I've never seen what we are all about, what we trying to do, and that'll be always an issue. Sorry, that's all I'll say. Sorry,
I think it's very fair to say, Alex, and you're not the only one who comes on these fan shows on a regular basis and says that they've never got over Pochettino being sacked, and a lot of people would like to see him back one day, and that's why a lot of people mention him on these fan shows. Alex, just very, very quickly, £34 million fee for Conor Gallagher. Good business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good business. You're lucky getting in for that sort of price.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think, but we need more. We need more.
Absolutely.
We do.
I don't know if I don't think we'll get it. I don't know if we'll get it here, but we need more, because unfortunately injuries determine that at the moment.
Yep.
So we've even got Richarlison, and then I'm even saying Richarlison actually played not that bad, because I don't like Moani, because Moani, like I said from the very start, needs to hit the ground running. What has he done?
Yeah,
you know
a lot more to do. As you said,
Anyway.
a lot more to do in the transfer window, but a positive day for Spurs overall, especially as it looked like he was off to Villa. Alex, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Cheers, Alex.
Bye-bye.
Right, we're
See you,
now
mate.
going to go to Australia to speak to Phil. Leo, we'll come to you next. Thanks so much for joining. Phil, how are you?
Not too bad. I've had a full night's sleep. It's really good. I must admit, I do like the setup that you have on the screen. Yes, that is the most attractive Charlie's Angels I've ever seen. All three of us. Yes.
It's called Chris and the Two Old Gits, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, as you can see, I've changed my title now just for that. But after my last call, yeah.
Well, at least you're smiling this time.
Oh, yeah, I told you, good sleep. And it's like because, you hear the rumours, but I thought Villa are going to grab him, whatever. And it's like waking up in the morning to a beautiful woman sitting on the edge of your bed, and you don't have to blow her up. It was just...
On that note, actually, do you know what? It's a really good point here in the comments. Kirsty Lou 79, she said, try to find a player out there that at £30 million that has Premiership captaincy experience. He's only 25 and played for England. Bargain.
Absolutely.
Totally agree with that, don't you, Phil?
Definitely. I mean, we were after him for some time. But think about this, and I'm not superstitious, touch wood, but there was a certain ex-Chelsea player that we bought from a European club and brought back and had a little bit of success with him. Jimmy Greaves, and we've had quite a little bit of success with a number of Chelsea players, Bobby Smith, etc. Maybe not go into the defensive side, but it's good. It's got to be better news. And the fact is, if you manage to bring in a player of Gallagher's quality into Tottenham, it may be the attraction for other players to get in.
Yeah, good point.
That's really good. Yeah, it's got to be. It's needed someone. I mean, we're halfway into the January thing, and I haven't seen all the great work that they've been doing.
The way that I see it, Phil, I don't know whether you agree with this. The way I see it is that we're out of the FA Cup. We're out of the League Cup. Always disappointing to go out of cup competitions, in my opinion. It's probably when I feel the most down, actually, during a season. When we go out of a cup, particularly the FA Cup, I've been saying on this channel for years about how many years it has been since we've last won the FA Cup. It's now 35 years, and it is now going to be, counting. And
I was there.
Well,
I was at the cup final.
Yep.
Sorry.
But ultimately, the league position we're in, 14th, I've said this many times, especially in the last couple of weeks and especially since the transfer window opened, clubs have got to take that opportunity in the January transfer window to, bring in reinforcements, make their squads stronger. Thomas Frank, the results and the performances have been really poor. We are at a stage where we have to deliver. This board has to deliver these players in this January transfer window, because there's no way that we can go on with the squad that we've got, the injured players out, and there are a lot of players that are going to be out, almost until the end of the season. Great, actually, seeing James Maddison's post on TikTok today of him on the grass actually kicking a football. So really good positive signs there. I know there's a long way to go for him, but that is a really positive sign. And, great to see his recovery is going well. But, ultimately, Phil, I want to say is Spurs have to deliver in this window. There's 3 weeks left. And as Alex just said there, we need more.
Well, of course we need more. I was really surprised that Villa didn't pick him up, but Gallagher up. But I don't watch the social network and get all the gossip and everything else, because it's almost like you see they only need to start it with once upon a time. When it is signed, when it's done, then I'll believe it. Because otherwise, they probably had the social network at Villa saying, yeah, we got Conor Gallagher. No, you haven't. And that's why you've got to see signed, sealed and delivered. That's when you see it. He still needs to, Frank does need a lot more on the attacking options. But I don't know where they're going to go with that. I really don't know, because the tactics aren't there. It's a bit like Gareth Southgate. When we played Italy in the European final, you had one team that was playing to win, Italy, and one team that was playing not to lose. And we have that mentality. And Gareth Southgate had probably one of the best England squads ever, and he still didn't deliver, in my opinion. Sorry, I thought I'd go a bit negative because you seem much too happy for Spurs supporters.
I mean, looking at this, Conor Gallagher created 53 chances for his Chelsea teammates in 23-24, 10th highest on Premier League list of midfielders, with most above him being the more attacking midfielders. So he must play those through balls. He must have that creative element, surely. You could say if he's a 6, is he an 8? What is he? I've seen him play sideways and backwards passing a lot when he's been with England, but could Spurs utilise him in a more forward role, Phil, do you think? I mean, I think he's definitely more got the legs and the capability to do that.
I was just going to say, Craig, that Sorry, Phil. I was just going to say.
No, carry on.
We're also forgetting that he had a very good and positive loan spell at Crystal Palace in the Premier League, and a lot of people were very excited about him. And like I said, Craig, I think defensive work is top notch, attacking play as well. This is an all-round midfielder. I know. Again, you're never ever going to please everyone. You're never ever going to please the whole fan base. I've seen, a lot of comments in, and please do get them in, because Craig and I will read as many as we can out about the reaction to Conor Gallagher. But you're always going to get people who are going to go, "Oh, he's not good enough." And until the players actually play, put that Tottenham Hotspur shirt on and prove their worth, then of course people are not going to say positive things about them. But from what I've seen in the past, particularly with him in the Premier League, I think this is a top player and still only 25. And I think he's going to deliver a lot for Tottenham, and I have high hopes for him. Sorry, Phil. Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's right. No, I think you're quite right. I think he's the type of player we need. And because he's also been a captain as well, you've got another leader further up the pitch. Because Romero's not always there. He prefers to argue with referees. That's important as well. I think the fact that he's more positive will also help. I mean, he's always reminded about his defensive skills, but as you said, more offensive is good. Yeah, I think it's, but we don't want it just to be a full storm. You need more than one player. That squad needs more than one player. Can you understand why they're suddenly delaying on Paulinho? Where they're like really delaying on, we'll buy him in the summer or whatever. Why not pick him up and get him in there and have it all done and dusted now?
They have the option for. Yeah, they have the option, Phil. So they obviously don't see the need to do that now. They've got the option at the end of the season, so why not just wait until the end of the season to see how it pans out? I really like Paulinho. I think that he brings a lot to Tottenham, and it's funny because King Hoddle writes here, talking about Gallagher. He doesn't excite me, but I'm happy for him to prove me wrong. Do you know what? I don't think that this is an exciting player. I think this is a player that is very physical, and I think that this is a player that is going to do a job for Tottenham, which we desperately need. And I feel exactly the same about João Paulinho. I don't think you could talk to any Spurs fan and say João Paulinho excites people. I think Conor Gallagher, I wouldn't put that in that category either. I think when you talk about exciting players and use that word exciting, we could, you guys could reel them off the names that have excited you as Spurs players. And I think those exciting players are always in the final third, those flair players, the strikers, the guys that score the goals. But the guys that prevent the goals and the guys that do the dirty work, they are not exciting players. And I think that's very fair to say. And I think that's how a lot of people view footballers. The players that do all the dirty work, put the tackles in. You're not saying that these players are exciting. It's always the ones putting the ball in the top corner or playing that killer pass for a striker to score a goal. So I just think that it's very, very important to have these types of players in your team. João Paulinho, I think, has done extremely well this season. Come up with a few important goals for us as well. But Conor Gallagher, I think, is going to be a great signing for Tottenham. BBC Sport have just stated that Tottenham expect to complete €40 million signing of Atletico Madrid midfielder Conor Gallagher in the next 48 hours. The England international wants deal finalised ahead of Atletico's game against Deportivo on Tuesday. Phil, last question for you. The West Ham
Can I just
game.
make a point?
Go on in.
You said about Paulinho and Gallagher. You also have to remember when we bought, going back in history now, guys, sorry, when we had our Diles and Villa and Hoddle, Birkinshaw went out and bought Terry Yorath, not because he was exciting, but to protect his playmakers. And he was very effective in that for a couple of years when we needed someone in midfield to do that. And that's why these players are so important in that midfield role to protect your Hoddles, your Ardiles, your whatever. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's important to recognise that. You need a bit of steel that's not going to take... I mean, I'm not talking about the old Wimbledons who used to kick the crap out of you. But at the same time, you need good players who are strong, tough, and don't take any nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. The physicality, and Thomas Frank uses that word a lot, as I've said. Craig, that physicality in the centre is very, very important, isn't it?
It's one of the most important things to have as a defensive central midfielder. But it's somebody who's gonna stick in the foot, who's gonna just protect that back line. And Conor Gallagher does that. You know what you're going to get from him.
Phil, thank you so much. I was going to ask you, West Ham.
Yeah, sorry.
How are you feeling about the West Ham game? And give us a score prediction if you'd like.
You know me and bloody predictions.
Well, you're in a good mood.
God, wishful thinking. It's we got to win it.
Yeah.
But then again, so do West Ham. So I expect it to be a real clash of two really bad teams at the moment. And the only prediction I can make is I don't expect all 22 players to be on the pitch by the end of it. That's what I think. But I want us fighting for it. I want us attacking. This is the next two games, as your chap from South Africa said, was, I've forgotten his name, sorry.
Linton.
Is that we need 6 points. We get 6 points. It is so tight at the moment. It whooshes us up. And suddenly there's a whole change of atmosphere. But we're at home. Oh, we're at home, yeah. We have got to beat West Ham.
Yep.
We have got to beat West Ham. There's no two ways. And we're not good with London derbies recently.
Yeah.
If you can't get up for the London derby, what else can you do?
Yeah. You made a good point there, Phil, and I've said this in the last few weeks as well. A good transfer window, a good couple of really decent signings in this window, and a couple of good results can, make people start feeling a lot more positive again. So let's hope that is the case. Phil, always a good guest, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Sorry about the dirty.
Cheers, Phil.
Okay, and it was nice hearing from you, Craig.
See you later, mate.
See you later.
Right, we're now going to go to Leo. Leo, thanks so much for joining us. How are you, mate?
Hey guys, how are you doing? Hey Craig, how are you doing? Long time.
You're right. Yeah, you're right, Leo.
Yeah, I'm good.
Leo, how are you feeling? How you feeling about the Conor Gallagher signing, and how are you feeling as a Spurs fan overall?
Yeah, I mean, the Conor Gallagher, the signing is great. It's exactly what we need. I think, what's happening. Somebody said recently that a lot of the signings that we make are very reactive because obviously certain players get injured and then we're forced to make a signing. It was similar when Maddison went down and obviously we got Xavi came in, and it just came to a realization that even though people may see like it's a bad thing, it actually proved to be something quite fantastic and significant because we're actually building a team that, and I'm going to say it, with the right management can definitely compete. Because when you look at the players that we've got, actually, especially in the midfield area, with Paulina, with Xavi, with with Kudos, these are great physical players that can, especially with Kudos, that can hold the ball, make something happen. Xavi feels to me like he's filling his boots now. He's doing, especially with the last game, he feels like he's getting into the whole Premiership. And Maddison to come back, Kulisexy to come in again. We're looking like, especially with this Conor coming in, it looks like quite a powerful midfield, especially with Paulina, that for me had his best game I've seen him play. Like this week gone now, he's been absolutely incredible. The last game he did 3 tackles that were so aggressive, but got the ball clean. He was so on it. And for me, I've not seen a midfielder do that in the Premiership, really. For me, Paulina looks like he's going to be a formidable player for us if and when we do sign him. So I think that Spurs are actually building a squad, be it reactive or whatever. The bottom line is we're actually bringing in players that can do a job if we have a good someone at the helm to galvanize them and put them together.
So you're quite excited about this Gallagher signing, then, Leo, by the sound of it. You think this is a really good positive step by the club?
Definitely positive step, because it's not about we have to sign the next Ronaldo for the fans to be happy, or the guy has to do 20 step overs and all of this business. Football is not about that. It's about balance. It's about finding players that have good work rate, having players that might not be aesthetically pleasing but have impact in a game. When it's tough and you need to dig in, you need to have those characters. Man United under Alex Ferguson, they had players like that weren't that attractive. You know, like for example, I'm just trying to think of. I know everyone could talk about the Giggs and the Ronaldos and stuff like that, but then you have the
Chadwick wasn't attractive, was he?
You have the even even like I'm saying Palace or even a Neville. Neville is not like the sexy player, but he gets stuck in. You know, he does the job. Nicky Butt, you know, all these players, you know, he's like, Nicky Butt, what? You know, but then all of a sudden you look at them and they've won 10 champions or 10 titles or whatever. They're decorated, you know? So football is not necessarily about in every position you need to have a Ronaldo and all of this business. It's about balance. It's about making sure that you have a team that work hard, that fight, that have that aggression, that will have that ambition to win. And not all of that needs to be, like I said, you know, these aesthetically pleasing players. But I watched a YouTube guy recently, and he spoke about teams that have won the league. And he goes that most of the teams that have won the league never had a striker that was top goal scorer. That the teams that have top goal score like 20 or 30 goals, they never won. They never won the league. So it was a more balanced team that won the league as opposed to individuals and stuff like that. So when people talk about players like a Solanke now, or you know, players like him and how he's not banging in the goals, I still believe in Solanke. I feel like he's the sort of player that, with this sort of team, the fact that he can run and you know he holds the ball up, something that our fake Brazilian Richarlison can never do. But I think with players like that, looking back now, you can say, "Oh, look, we're building a team that can compete now, that can literally compete." When all the players come back, go through the names. We don't have a bad team. We don't have bad players. Go through. We just need a few more signings like what we've just done today. Gallagher. We've got Van der Ven. We got Romero. We've got Danso even. I like Danso. You know, we have Paulino. We have Xavi. We have Maddison. We have Kulu. We have Kudos. Come on. These are good players. Players that once they're fit, a good manager, we can do something. So the great thing about life is, when you think about it, is that sometimes life shows you what you don't want, what you don't want. So you know what you do want. You know, life is, that's when the best. Sometimes they say you have to feel. You have to. What's the say again? If you want to learn, you must feel, right? So in the sense, like if you don't listen, you must feel. And so let me break that down. It's like sometimes you need to go into the dark places to realize who you are. Sometimes you need to feel the pain for you to recognize what you need to do to take action. And I think this period with Spurs is we're feeling the pain of what we don't want. And because we now realize what we don't want, we do know what we do want. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yeah. And so now, because of this trauma that we're going through, we're realizing, okay, we need to have a manager that understands the Tottenham way. Because a lot of fans, including myself, and this might sound controversial, I don't even want Frank to be successful. How crazy is that? And the reason why I don't want him to be successful is because he doesn't fit the mold of what I believe a Tottenham leader should have. You know, I feel like a Tottenham coach or manager should have a bit of flair, a bit of, you know, charisma. You know, like his press conferences are so boring and dead. He talks and it's like you're not even motivated. I don't want that at the helm of my team. You know, look at Liam Rosner at Chelsea right now. Day one, he came in, and when he talks, a lot of people might say, oh, he's a bit like this. But to me, my eyes light up. I'm like, I like how he speaks, just like how Andrew was speaking last season. I like how Liam is speaking for Chelsea. He's very positive. He's talking about, you know, I want to play attractive football on the front foot, aggressive. I want to bring glory and all of this stuff. That's on day one.
Do you know what? Do you know what though, Leo? That happens with most press conferences with new managers. When a new manager comes in, all the fans say, "Oh, love him in the press conferences, love what he's saying." I tell you what, by the 40th press conference, when you've been asked the same question 40 times, then I think people change their mind.
No, but you see, the thing is, but with Frank, I didn't like his first press conference. First thing he said was, "We're going to lose games." Who says that? Who says that on the press? I was like, what? And then he goes, "Oh, I've made my first mistake because something like Arsenal wins." And I was like, mate, you're all over the place. And that's when the first red flag came. So for me, it's like, it sounds like I said, it sounds counterproductive that I don't even want him to be successful, because I know that with somebody else, especially with the squad that we're building now, we can have our cake and eat it. We can have a manager that we all get galvanized, and like for example, and I'm going to say it now, a Poch.
There you go. That's everybody said it so far.
I had to include myself.
This is like bingo with everyone mentioning Pochettino.
It might
square.
Yeah, it might be a romantic, you going back to your ex sort of vibe, nostalgia that all these fans are feeling.
Should you go back?
I wouldn't mind it. And for me, I reckon that if
have you ever been back?
Later on tonight, love. What time is it now? Any minute now. Nah, we do, Chris. So no, I don't mind the Pochettino, only because I know that. Well, I hope that Spurs fans will give him the time that he needs. Because he has proved that he can do the job. Even though, like, the last coming towards the ends of his tenure, it was a bit dead. We were losing a lot of games. So I don't know if it was his fault or the board or whatever. I know that we didn't buy anyone for years. But I think if he does come back, it will lift the whole team. And the fans will give him, I reckon, a little bit more of a rope to do what he has to do. Because we do want him to be successful. And to be honest, I don't think a lot of Spurs fans right now like Frank. I think you need to be likable as well. I just don't think they like him, just purely because of his mannerism. And with that alone, I just don't even want to be successful. So I know the question you might going to be asking me later on is the West Ham game. It's like, yeah, we have to win it, but I kind of want us to lose so he gets sacked. It's crazy.
Look, listen, we do not want any more defeats. Certainly not the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and certainly not against this very, very poor West Ham team, and certainly not if Conor Gallagher is making his debut as well. I tell you what, I want a successful day on Saturday. I don't know whether you're serious or joking around, Leo, but I tell you what, I don't want any more defeats.
Listen, let me tell you something. I was, what was the last game we played? I really wanted us to lose. I wanted a 4-0 hammering because I wanted him out, And at 2-0, I was so happy. I was like, good. Even though it was hurting me inside, I was shouldering the pain because I was willing to accept the pain for him to be out. And then we got 2-1 back, and I was like, oh, God. And that really pissed me off. And then we equalized. No, we didn't equalize. We got 2-1, and then we started playing really well. And I thought, even though we lost, it's not enough to get him out because we showed fight. We gave him, a sliver of hope to keep his job. So that really upset me because I really wanted a battering there. I really wanted us to lose 4 or 5-0. That's how much I don't want Frank in there.
I do understand. I do understand what you're saying, Leo. I do get the sentiment. I do get it because I don't want Thomas Frank at this club anymore either. So you're preaching to the converted.
I've never ever felt, never in my life felt that I want my team to lose.
No, I didn't say I wanted us to lose, but I get what he's saying. When you're if you're 3 or 4-0 down, you think, if you really believe, like it sounds like Leo and me are on the same page, that this manager is never going to be the right fit for this club ever in a million years, and I'm sure he would be. It's not like I dislike Thomas Frank as a man. He seems like a very nice chap, but I just don't think he's the right manager for Spurs to take us forward. I think he'd be a great manager for certain teams, not Tottenham, and never will be. That's just my opinion.
I agree, and I agree with you, Craig. And the thing is the question is like, so what are we going to do about it? Are we going to let him carry on till the end of the season? Which I don't want. I'd rather just sack him off, because obviously, what else is? I just don't want him there. And then at the end of the season, we bring in a Poch or bring in somebody else that can galvanize, just be better. There has to be the right profile. With football and everything, it's not just about a manager. It's about somebody coming in who has the ego and to shoulder what a high pressure job like Tottenham is. It's not just coming in. It's like you're dealing with the world media. It's a whole different ball game to come into a team from Brentford to a Tottenham. It's a whole different world. The media exposure is different. The expectation is different. You've got players there, especially that have just won something. They're going to look at you differently. You need a specific type of person that can come in there and say, right, I can handle all of this pressure. I'm used to this stuff. I can deal with the press. I could deal with the fans. I could deal with the fact that this is a massive club. I could deal with the fact that we've got all the media that's going to be going at me all this time. I have the shoulders, the gravitas, and the charisma to deal with that. And that's a sort of characteristics that somebody coming in needs to have. It was a failure when David Moyes went to Man United, because he didn't have that. From Everton to Manchester United, it's a whole different league, and you saw it.
David writes here, I agree with Chris. Leo's a traitor. I think you'd be good on that show, Leo. You've been watching it.
I love it. I don't know when it's next on, but I saw the last one. Epic. I don't think I could ever do it, because it will be trauma for me. I can't. I hate betrayal. And that's why players like Richarlison does my head in, because he betrayed me. He's when we signing a Brazil number 9, the guy, he is the traitor, the number 1 traitor, because he came in with this haircut and all of this, doing his chicken dance. The guy is a fraud, and so pigeon, whatever he does. So I think overall, I just think for us Spurs fans, I'm going to be a bit positive here. I think whether it's reactive of the signings that we made, I still feel that we've built something. I don't think the players are as bad as everyone's talking about. I think we do have good quality players that shows that we shouldn't be where we are right now. We should be much higher in the league for sure. Yeah. With the players that we have, we have top. We have Romero, Van der Ven. That's those players can walk into most teams, right? We have those quality players, Van der Ven, pace, strong, all of that stuff. We just need a few more additions, and they don't have to be sexy, but they just have to have the right characteristics to put a balanced team together.
Leo, thank you so much for joining us. Before you do go, give us a score prediction for the West Ham game.
I'm praying for 3-0 West Ham. That's what I'm praying for. I am. Because one more loss is...
You can't be praying for Tottenham.
I'm praying for it.
Come on.
I've got my voodoo doll.
I'm not having that.
I've got the voodoo doll here.
No. We do not want to be praying for any defeats, especially against that lot.
But this is what is going to get him out. Don't you get it? We're really winning. It's a win-win. If
you have to lose to win, you're saying?
Yes, because think about it. If we win, Frank is in. So we've lost. Don't you get it?
Leo.
If we win, Frank is in. Craig, you know what I'm saying? Think about it.
I do understand. Right.
I do understand
what you're saying.
It's time for you to go now.
But we can't lose to West Ham. I'd have to emigrate, I think.
Okay, so who do we have after West Ham?
Burnley in the league.
Burnley. Okay, so let's say he wins both games, West Ham and Burnley. He's definitely in.
Then the mood is lifted again. A couple of signings in. Sosa walks through the door. Conor Gallagher walks through the door. We get 6 points out of 6, 2 wins out of 2. The mood is lifted again. That's what we want.
That's what I want, but he's there. How do we get him out?
Leo, I honestly, I will never ever say I want my team to lose ever.
You never say it, but you probably feel it, innit?
No matter who the players are, no matter who the manager is, I always want my club to win, especially at home, because we've had some really poor and dark days there. You know, the booing this season has just been, you know, terrible. The amount of boos this season at games, both home and away, it can't continue like this. And I just hope that Spurs do turn it around, and you know, we have a really good and positive window, and we climb up that league table, because you know there is a chance for this season to still be a success.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. So my prediction, even though I want us to lose and I pray for us to lose, I think we'll win 3-1. I think 3-1 Spurs.
Thank you, Leo. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, Leo.
Cheers, Greg. Cheers, Greg.
See you, mate. Bye.
Right, we're now going to go to Orchi, who has been very patient with us, and it is about 1:20 in Istanbul, Turkey. Orchi, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. A little bit excited. Finally, seeing some signings at last for the club. Well, let's get it over the line first before we celebrate, I say. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Well, I mean, to be honest, this should have happened 10 days ago. 3rd, 4th of January is when these signings should have started coming through the door. They had plenty of time to get themselves organized. So that's the disappointing part, but hopefully they'll get their act together now, and let's get a really decent left-sided midfielder as well. Like you said, I mean, I can't believe what Leo was saying. I mean, I'm with you. I will never, ever, ever, whoever the manager is, whoever the players are, I will never wish for my team to lose. And I agree with you, you know, like a couple of wins, get, you know, obviously finalize the Sousa signing, finalize the Conor signing, get maybe 2 more players in. Solanke's just come back, you know, a couple of games, he'll start getting match fit again. And all of a sudden, yeah, the whole mood can change in the club.
Do you think players like Conor Gallagher coming in, Orchi, with a couple of other signings, do you think it changes the fortunes for Thomas Frank and this side? Because we've got a horrendous February coming up.
Yes, definitely. I think it depends on how quickly he hits the, you know, ground running, Craig. It's, you know, I mean, look, the good thing is obviously he is, you know, he's got the Premier League experience. And in his 2nd season at Chelsea, he did do well. His, you know, goal contributions is, you know, good numbers there. He, as you guys with previous guests have said, he had a good spell at Crystal Palace as a loanee. There's, you know, he's got good, you know, he's got good pedigree. So there's no reason why he can't hit the, you know, ground running. Maybe, you know, within sort of, it shouldn't take him too long to adapt to a new team.
Yeah.
That's the hope. That's the wish. I think that's what we've got to do. We've got to go out there, and regardless of what, I mean, you guys have, with previous guests, again, discussed the fee as well. I think, you know, his age, the fact that he's got Premier League experience, you know, the previous teams that he's played for, he's, I think it's a good price, you know, and regardless of what the price is, we've got to go out there and, you know, strengthen this team. We've got to strengthen the squad, give Thomas Frank the best chance to turn things around. And if he can't, then, you know, whether it's a month or a couple of months or end of the season, then we can look at his performance and how well he's done. But I can't sit here and say, am I over the moon about us, you know, getting in Thomas Frank? I wasn't, to be honest. I wanted Poch back, but he's here, and I will never ever wish us to ever lose a game. Simple as that. So
Bill writes here, Chris, every new manager that we've had since Pochettino left, you've been excited about. Sorry, mate, it's proven that managers make no difference at Spurs. I've also said, Bill, about backing managers in transfer windows. And I think a lot of those managers haven't been given the players that they particularly wanted for their systems. And when you think that we have to start over and over again from scratch, it's always not a good thing. And decisions have been really poor, in my opinion. You know, Pochettino didn't have any money to spend in multiple transfer windows, 518 days to be exact. When you sack a manager like Jose Mourinho 6 days before a cup final, we appointed Nuno rather than Antonio Conte, and then obviously Antonio Conte ended up coming in the door. And to be honest, I wasn't excited when Nuno walked through the door. I thought it was going to be very, very different football. So, yeah, I think ultimately the managers need to be backed properly. Can I ask you, Orchie? You know, we're day 12 of the transfer window. I think you know, even me today, I was quite down about, you know, us not doing any business and bringing in any impact players, game changers, if you like, whatever you want to call them. But do you think in the next 3 weeks the club could actually surprise the fan base by really backing Thomas Frank in this window and living up to what they've said about, you know, wanting to fight on all fronts? Because the club themselves can't be happy the fact that we've gone out of both domestic cup competitions so early. And then what I also said, and I've said it a number of times in the last couple of weeks, about there's this whole lot of teams in the middle of the table where they'll be thinking a few additions here, we could climb up that Premier League table in the second half of the season. And, you know, some of these teams can have a successful season, especially Spurs. You know, based on what we've seen in the first half, we could still end this season in a European spot if we get the right signings in.
Definitely. Agree with you 100%, Chris. They've got to. Can they do it? Yes, supposedly they've got the funds to do it. We are in the top 10 richest teams in the world. Not just the UK, not just the Premier League, in the world. We've got the money. We've got all the deals. We've got the concerts, the American football, the Formula One karting, all these deals that, you know, years ago that Daniel Levy did. We are one of the best run clubs in the world of soccer. Our revenue's good. Our, you know, profits are good. So do we have the money? Do we have the capability? And we're nearly at the period of the year when the financial results come out. Usually, I think it's February, isn't it? When the financial results usually come out. And I remember last year when they came out, again, as always, TalkSport have their financial experts come on, and Spurs were one of the lowest spending, you know, in terms of the, as most of us know, in as far as the wages that they pay, we are one of the lowest, you know, paying clubs. And every financial person they have on the show says how much of a headroom that we have where we can go out there. And I think we need to. I think Spurs is in this unique situation where we are one of the potential this club has, because of the stadium, because of the training facilities. Everything is there for this club to be really, really successful. If only the ownership, the management would get their act together. And the only thing is really left is to build a challenging team. And you do that by spending money, Chris. Do we have the money to spend it? Apparently we do. And we got plenty of headroom to pay bigger wages to attract the better players. That is going to take this team forward. Have we done it so far? No, we haven't. You know, manager after manager after, even starting from sort of Poch's peak years, we haven't done it. And this is why we've gone so backwards. You know, we've suffered, you know, as you say, we've had Jose Mourinho. We've had, now, as much as, again, in my opinion, he was kind of past his best by the time he came to Spurs. But in all of his previous clubs, even at Manchester United, he won trophies. But Jose Mourinho failed. And as you said, we sacked him, what was it, a few days before a cup final. Then came in Conte. Then came in the other managers that came in. And finally, obviously, we had Ange, who ended a 17-year cup drought. And even I don't think we backed him properly, because yes, we bought one or two players, but mostly we seem to invest in potential players, whereas we've never really bolstered the squad with the experienced players that are going to help those youngsters come on. Going back to Poch, I mean, actually Alex touched on it. I think what you have to take into consideration, yes, Paul Mitchell, who was head of recruitment when Pochettino was actually at Southampton. So their partnership began at Southampton. And when Pochettino came to Tottenham in 2014, Paul Mitchell followed him. And by the way, Paul Mitchell was responsible for us signing players like Dele Alli, Son, Kieran Trippier, and Toby Alderweireld. So, they had a good partnership. And the reason about 2 years after, in 2016, Paul Mitchell left is because he fell out with Daniel Levy. And I remember, I think it was circa 2019 or 2020, Paul Mitchell was actually on, was it TalkSport or somewhere? And he kind of talked about a little bit the way Daniel Levy did business and how he had identified, or they had, their number one choices, and it was literally left to sign the player, and how Daniel Levy would then, it was literally in the last, on the 11th hour, he would delay, he would dither, and then we'd end up losing those signings. So, and in the end, he got so frustrated, he left because, he fell out with him. So, and since then, since he left, if you look at it, obviously the end of Poch's era, as you know, we, for about, what was it, 3 transfer windows, we didn't sign a single player. And yeah, Pochettino's squad team stagnated. And you can say after the Champions League final, that's kind of why, he was kind of struggling there right towards the end. And, and we've talked plenty of times in the past, we both, I think, agree on that he certainly had a lot of credit in the tank, and he got let go way too easily. But anyway, since then, we never really got the recruitment right, Chris. I don't think we've ever backed the managers. Well, we don't need to build a new training facility. We don't need to build a new stadium. Everything is in place for this management, for this, for ENIC or the new board or whatever you might call it, to go out there. And this is, it's on them now. It's on them. They've got to go out there. They've got to put their money where their mouth is, and they've got to support this manager. Whether you're Frank in or out, it doesn't matter, because they've let this club down year after year after year. And they came out at the beginning of this season talking about how they want us to compete on all fronts, on all levels. Well, we've only got the Premier League and the Champions League left now. We're after both domestic cups. So, go out there, spend some money, and show us that you mean business.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't have put it better myself. Ulchi, thanks so much for joining us, and we will talk to you again very soon.
See you later, Ulchi.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me on. Cheers, guys.
Right. We're now going to go to our last couple of guests. Let me just say, various reports are just stating that Conor Gallagher will sign a 5.5-year deal at Tottenham Hotspur from Atletico Madrid. So that is until 2031, the summer of 2031. Let's go to Tim. Tim, how are you?
Much better, actually. Good signing. Good signing. I'm thinking Dave Mackay, that kind of player, gets his foot in. I'm not showing that. I'm not that old. But, yeah, he's a good stopper. He can run forward. He passes well. And I think he'll bring the best out in Xavi. I really do. I think that pairing will be a really good pairing. I hope to see them on Saturday, when we won't lose. Sorry, Leah, we will not lose on Saturday. Even though I want Frank gone, absolutely. But I think it was a surprise, came out of nowhere. But I think, having looked through it, it's a great signing. It's a great signing.
Tim, who do you see as the best partner for Gallagher in that central midfield role? Do you think it's going to be Paulinho? I mean, I'd imagine it would be if he starts on Saturday anyway.
I think probably Paulinho, but I think it depends on the game. I'd like to see Gray with him. I'd like to see Bergwell with him. I think in some games, I think we won't want Paulinho unless it's just a stop. So I think I prefer to see a mix up in there. But the main two players will probably be Gallagher and Xavi, and then the rest will mix around depending. Sometimes we want a Bergvall to run forward a bit, sometimes a bit more of a stopper with Paulinho, and sometimes someone who can just sort of hold on to the ball like Gray. So I think it gives us a lot of options. And don't forget, we've got Sarr and people to come back. So forget about Basuma. But Sarr, you know, he's a great player, I think. He's a really good player, still very young. So I think Gallagher will help those young ones come on quite a lot.
Tim, a lot of people and a lot of guests tonight have said, you know, we need more in this transfer window.
Yep.
How do you think all of us, what's your gut feeling on how you think we're all going to be feeling in 3 weeks' time on the 2nd of Feb, 7 p.m. when that window closes? Are we all going to be happy?
We've been through so many transfer windows and rarely are we very happy. And I can't see it being too much different because January windows are like difficult, really difficult. Unless they pull a superstar out, I don't think we're going to be really happy. We definitely need a right-sided winger in. We really need a half-decent striker. I think we were chatting in the private chat about Tammy Abrahams, bring him back in from Istanbul just as a, you know, a sort of proven Premier League player. It's going to be a difficult one, really. I'm going to be slightly naughty and say the best signing we could have this transfer winning would be Xavi Alonso, really. But that's slightly naughty. I've got this horrible feeling they're going to be talking to him rather quickly because I think they're going to be. There's so few managers around that are half decent. If someone like Xavi Alonso comes up, do you think they'll turn that down?
I think he'll be going to Liverpool, if anywhere, personally, and they'll get rid of
Slot.
But
they're not going to get. Yeah. They're not going to get him out of there, are they? Sometime early. But anyway, that was my naughty one. My next best signing. There's a few players kicking around, but really they've got to stick their hand in their pocket for someone like Vuskovic or, you know, someone of real quality. They're going to be having to spend a lot of money and break the wage structure, which they're going to have to start doing soon. See, there's an argument, isn't there? Because in theory, Gallagher's was on a lot of money at Atletico, anywhere between 200,000 or 300,000.
Yeah,
whichever one. So what have they done? Is he taken a pay cut, or is they up things? And then that's going to cause problems in the squad because I think Romero wants to be the highest paid, right? So
yeah, good point.
I'm not sure what's going to happen there.
Yeah, everyone's mentioned managers on this stream. Every single guest has spoke about managers.
I'm not going to mention the P word. Not going to do it.
You're going to be the first one.
Not going to do it. No.
It's interesting.
You're upset now, Craig?
Oh no, not at all.
I think it's, in theory, I'd like to give Frank the rest of the season, although it's getting increasingly difficult. If we have lost by any margin on Saturday, I think it'd be gone. If we lose this Saturday, I don't think there's any way back. Anyway, if we lose against a West Ham team that can barely walk, he deserves to go immediately. But then, you know, then who do you get in, right? And yes, we want our Lord and Saviour to come back in the summer, if possible.
Who's that?
I'm not going to say. Wait, just, you know.
I don't know who you mean. Who do you mean, Tim? Who do you mean?
I think we've had several managers back. I was actually on
Conte.
I was
looking
at a list. Conte, no.
The Lord and Saviour.
Mourinho, someone like that.
Somebody thought Mourinho, wasn't it? Yeah.
Of players about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was thinking, none of the current squad would get in that team. We just wouldn't get in that team. It was that good. That's how far we've gone down from a team that was finishing second, third, fourth, eighth, and I think in the worst season to this is beyond appalling. So I think he's on a very tight rope, and I think you've said a lot, Chris. He looks like so stressed and tired that I don't think he's going to be able to take much more of this. And there's going to be gazillion reasons for it, and we could blame everything for it. But in the end, on the field, it's the manager, and this team is not a 17th team. It is not. It's not the greatest, but it's definitely not a 17th team. We definitely need more people in. I'm not an expert in who you should bring in, but I think we'll definitely get at least one more. It won't be enough, and I've got a feeling Frank won't survive past the end of January. Because, well, no, hold on. By the end of February, because the list of fixtures in February are like, might as well just shoot us in the face now and throw the points in the bin, aren't they? the way we're playing.
Man United, Man City, Newcastle, Arsenal.
Yeah, because we got West Ham, Burnley, with a few European ones in between, and then that February.
Yeah.
I think if we don't get a full 6 points in those in West, if we lose claret and blue all the way through January, basically, we're in deep trouble because we will likely lose the next 4 or not get much out of them.
Robbie writes here in the comments, some fans will never be happy, Chris. Do you know what? I have never, ever told anyone how to feel about signings, about, defeats, wins, draws, whatever, whether they go to games, don't go to games. I don't think you can ever tell people. And that's one thing that really does frustrate me sometimes, especially on social media. I know social media can be a dark place for some people sometimes, and I try to stay off it. Although I post every day, I post and then leave. Have very few interactions with people because I would never ever say to anyone how to feel, and I don't think anyone else should do that as well. Many times I've been told what to say, how to feel, and whether I should go to games, not go to games, support managers, not support managers. Like with Leo, I've never ever wanted Spurs to lose. He wants us to lose the game. I'm never going to say, don't do that, or don't say that, or you can't do this, you can't do that. It's an interesting fan base, isn't it, Tim? Because so many people are against Thomas Frank right now. Is there any part of you that thinks that he can get through this? And I've asked a few people this tonight.
Yeah, I definitely think there is. His background is that he starts slowly and then improves. I think there's definitely a way out of this. But I suppose the issue I've got is the signs aren't good. I'm on Saturday. There was all those legends lined up, wasn't there, for the kind of memorial? And look at those players; it was fantastic. Now, if those players could not up their game in the first half, after listening to that, the crowd was so loud. They had those fantastic legends of players down there. They couldn't do it.
Yeah,
it made me. I know the second half was much, much better, but still not great because we couldn't score more than one goal. If they couldn't do it for that, what the hell are they going to do it for? I mean, it was literally the perfect atmosphere for those. The commemorative shirts were on. This is 125 years since we did the the non-league thing. There's all these legends watching you. Martin Chivers, God bless his soul, is going to be memorialised. And Terry Orff as well. And then what do we get? A turgid. If you can't bring a game up for that, then nothing. I suppose Frank could definitely do it, and he's got the skills to do it. The signs are all pointing in completely the wrong direction now, and I can't see him pulling it around. It would be literally a miracle to do it, unless the performance in the second half, whoever pushed it forward, because I'd love to know what he said or didn't say at half time, or whether there was a players' revolt, has turned things around. We will find out first half on Saturday, won't we? Was it Saturday or Sunday? Saturday, yeah.
Saturday, 3 p.m. Tim, you haven't mentioned him, but Pickers 19725 has said, Chris, your brother Poch will be at Spurs after the World Cup.
If I was going to guess, I think that's probably right. Because I don't, short of going on a miraculous run and finishing like 4th or 5th, I don't think there's anything that will make people happy, because it's not just about losing. It's about the style of play, how he's interacting with fans, how he's interacting with the media, how he's kind of gaslighting us in many ways. You've seen those press conferences where after a horrible performance, he's gone, well, I thought we did quite well. And everyone's going, what, are you watching the same match?
That winds me up particularly more than anything. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't understand why he thinks that's a good idea. It's better to say, no, we're practicing stuff. It still is nowhere near good enough. And we're doing this and we're doing that, rather than saying boring stuff like, we're trying very, very hard. And so you should be trying very, very hard. But I think that's the one that gets me the most, which is kind of telling you can't see what's right in front of your eyes. That was an awful performance against Arsenal and Chelsea. I mean, awful performances, and then telling us, well, we tried to do this and it was okay. No, it wasn't. It was far from okay.
Tim, thank you so much for joining us yet again. You're a great addition on these fan shows, so thanks so much for your input.
But last thing, that Conor Gallagher signing has really lifted my mood. After that complete rant, I'm feeling much, much better, as of you. Thanks, chaps. Have a brilliant night.
Thank you so much. Cheers, Tim.
Take care.
Right, we're now going to go to the US to speak to Darren. Darren, how are you?
Good evening, gents. Personally, I'm not doing too bad, but on the Tottenham front, I'm just as down, I think, as everyone else. It's just a really negative atmosphere right now, and you're like scrambling around, scratching anything positive. Is there anything positive? Like your last guest just said, I mean, I think I just learned about it, the Conor Gallagher signing. That's something positive, because I was starting to get down about the transfer window. You know, you've been talking about this forever, about how the board's come out and said we want to compete on all fronts, and we're always saying those magic words, back the manager, and it just seems like we're just going round and round, and it's the same old, same old. So maybe now there's a glimmer of hope that, yes, this transfer window might actually be different. The summer transfer window was pretty decent. So I don't know. We'll see. I think there's more work to do, but if we get some signings in, then I'll have a bit more reason to feel upbeat.
Do you think the Conor Gallagher signing, fingers crossed, it actually gets over the line? Do you think that's going to be the first of a few in this transfer window, dare I say it, that is going to get the fans think, okay, Enoch, you are putting your money where your mouth is. You do mean business.
I hope so. We all want like the signings on day one, don't we? But we know it's a difficult transfer window. So if we have to wait a week or two and we get another couple more players in, I'm okay with that. And I was looking yesterday at the transfers. A lot of the clubs haven't really done much in the way of business, and I don't expect them to. Obviously, Semenyo to Man City is probably the highlight, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I mean, I think that would make us stand out, because we would be one of the few clubs that have done sort of multiple players, and I think I'm hoping that's the way it's going to be. Otherwise, this whole we want to compete on all fronts, and I don't buy it. And I have to say, kind of like Romero, like you're coming out to tell lies kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll see. There's time. We'll see. Maybe we're turning the corner. It's just not as quick as the fans would like.
Darren, I know you'll probably answer this very, very differently if I asked you this question at the start of the season to now at the halfway point. But what would be a successful season for Spurs now, given the fact that we have had a very mixed first half of the season? And, you don't need me to tell you the amount of boos and the amount of negativity towards Thomas Frank and this team. But what would be a successful season now?
I mean, I think qualifications for the Champions League, and I'm not saying that that's possible, but I'm also not saying that it's impossible either. So, but I mean, we've got to turn things around quickly and start winning, because if we're not putting points on the board, it's just going to slip away from us. And even then, it's a real topsy-turvy season. We're still sort of relying on other teams slipping up. It still blows my mind that Manchester United are where they are. They're a team that are in a very similar position to us. The difference is they don't have Champions League football, but yet somehow they're up there in the table. So maybe that's a sign that we could turn things around. We should be arguably in a better spot than they are, but it's such a strange season. There's so many slip ups and teams that are not performing and teams that are performing, and it's just, I mean, in some ways it's fun because it's difficult to predict. But yeah, Tottenham have got to start picking up points consistently and soon, otherwise it's just going to really get away from us very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. It's well, look, the next two games coming up, West Ham, then Burnley. You'd like to think we've got half a chance and a squeaking to pick up 6 points for both them. You would hope.
More than half a chance, Craig. Come on.
Well, yeah, don't want to be too positive, No, but look, in all honesty, we should be beating these teams, shouldn't we? We should be beating both West Ham and Burnley. I mean, what does that say? If we don't get, if for example, I'll ask you, is a draw good enough against West Ham to keep Thomas Frank in a job?
Funnily enough, I was talking to my son about this just a couple of hours ago, and we were sort of the opinion that nothing short of a win is good enough. I mean, he's under the cosh, and irrespective of how you feel about it, I mean, he's got to win, because we can't be dropping. Wolves is a prime example. They had 1 point, and we doubled their tally for the season. I mean, that's just not good enough, not acceptable. It's a must
battered West Ham. Wolves battered West Ham, so we must do exactly the same.
The thing is, there's no reason why we can't. But the thing that's frustrating to me about Tottenham right now is that we just seem so timid. Like, Frank has talked about daring and being brave and all that, but we're not. And I don't understand why, because we have the talent. I think we have a pretty good squad. I think we really could put the screws into West Ham, but I just get nervous. All it takes, they're lacking in confidence, I think, is one thing that you see on the field. And all it takes is one sort of nervy moment, a nearly goal or something, and then they're completely thrown off balance. And it seems like we almost have to go behind before we start playing a game, like with Villa being a prime example. We're 2-0 down, the game's sort of dead and buried, and then all of a sudden we can start playing. You just can't afford to give the teams like that a head start, even if it is West Ham.
Darren, thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, gents. Take care.
Cheers,
Darren. Some very interesting news just come up here, Craig. Sky Germany have just reported that Eric Dyer has been offered to West Ham United. The club are considering the option. At this stage, nothing is advanced as yet, but this is an interesting opportunity for them. He is under contract with AS Monaco until 2028. Can you imagine Eric Dyer returning to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in a West Ham shirt on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it made his debut as well, scored against West Ham, of course. So, let's hope if that happens, that there's no symmetry there. Wow, that is, I'll say big news. I suppose it is really, isn't it? Seeing Eric Dyer back in the Premier League.
I was just about to go to Dave in New Zealand, but Dave's dropped off. Hussein, if you are ready to come on, we'll get you on now. Otherwise, he is. Hussein, nice to speak to you. How are you?
I'm well, a little bit more cheerful than an hour ago.
It's amazing, isn't it? I've always said this to people. 1 or 2 signings of real quality walk through the door, and 1 or 2 good performances, good results. The mood is lifted again. So you're feeling a bit more positive now.
Yeah, but the problem is it's always 1 or 2 when we need 5 or 6. So these guys keep doing it to us, In the summer, we were just about to protest, and then they signed Simmons just to shut us up for a week, and then nobody else came through. And with all the protests planned at the West Ham game, I think that made them have to do something. But we have to see if that's where they stop or if they continue.
I suppose that's a good point, Hussein, actually, because they will have known the fans are quite restless and the fans want signings. The club are going to do whatever the club want to do, obviously. But this one signing, all right, Sousa coming in as well, one for the future, more you would think. How many signings would you like to see Tottenham make, and how many signings do you think we'll make?
Before, if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said 3, but now we've lost 2 more players, so it's hard to do that in January, but we definitely need at least 2 more. I don't think you can count Sousa, because I don't think we should count on him for this season, maybe not even for next. But I think we need to fill the left and right side urgently as well. So I think the midfield, we should be okay now, because we have the two boys coming back from AFCON. We should manage. But I think we still need a left winger and a right winger. So that's quite urgent. I heard we had interest in the boy Diaz who's playing in Morocco. He's had an amazing tournament. I've been watching his games for Morocco. But today Real Madrid fired their coach, so maybe now he might want to stay and think that he'll get a fresh start as well. So that's because so that might stop that. But let's see. I hope it's not just a one and done, and it's just to keep us quiet until the window closes.
Yeah.
But I have a stat for you.
Go on.
Which Chelsea coach played Conor Gallagher 50 times more than any other player during his reign?
I can't say that name. I'm not falling into that trap. But Craig, it's the only time Craig smiled on this stream.
I think you've said Pochettino a couple of times, actually, Chris. So
no, because everyone else mentions him.
He played Gallagher. He played Gallagher more than any other Chelsea player during his time at Chelsea.
Yeah.
He was his captain, wasn't he? He was his captain.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's you know, I really think if you think about the amount of money we spent in the summer, we didn't improve the first team at all. Right. So we spent a lot of money on potential. And I think that's where we've been going wrong. You know, we don't need to buy potential. We've got an academy full of amazing kids. And then by buying more kids, we're just blocking their pathways. So we should be spending money on only people who improve the first 11 and let the kids come in through the academy and save our money. We've got so many good kids. They're doing really well out on loan. I don't see how they're going to get into the team if we keep blocking their path. We've got kids on the bench who could have easily had minutes this year and haven't had. So I think we've got to change the strategy. And players like the one we bought today is the right step. I think we have to just buy quality first team proven players in that age group, 25 plus, and then leave the kids for the academy, you know.
Where are you where do you stand at the moment on Thomas Frank?
I really wanted him to succeed, and I was really optimistic. We spoke after the Paris game. We were all very optimistic, and and I think he's a very intelligent manager. I will not forgive him for his press conferences. I can't forgive him now for the way he's treated the fans, or he's been so dismissive. I can't take it when he says, "Oh, I guarantee you tomorrow we're going to come out flying," and then it comes out flat, and then he's not accountable for it. I don't see him able to motivate the team to make changes in game. I mean, he's being outcoached every week. Even against Villa, we scored one goal. Emery immediately made adjustments and stopped it, and he had nothing to counter with. And I think I've been really indifferent, and I don't want to say I agree with Leo, but if you gave me a choice to lose one or two games, because for me the season's almost gone anyways. If we recover, we'll recover, but we're not going to make a Champions League spot. We're not going to make a UEFA Cup spot. So if it's between coming 8th and the hierarchy decides to give him more time, or coming 9th and firing him, then I'm happy to come 9th.
Can I ask, Craig, I want to come to you on this one first, especially what Hussein says there about Thomas Frank. You've never been a Thomas Frank fan from the very, very off. And I feel like your opinion of him has got less and less as the weeks and months and performances and poor results have gone on. What does or what can Thomas Frank do to win you around and get you fully on board supporting him and the club in the way that perhaps you used to?
But start winning games, start showing, putting in decent performances, and climbing the Premier League table and seeing signs of improvement. Because I don't think we've improved since last season. I think we've regressed, to be honest with you. And that's the key for me. We were promised to be competing. We were supposed to be getting a coach in who was tactically better than Ange, tactically more aware, able to change formations mid-game as the game suits. And I don't think we've seen very little of it. You can argue all day about injuries, but there was Kevin Danso messing around with that tactics board and moving things around for him during the game against Villa. I mean, I still think it was the players that said, sod this, we're not playing this way. In the last two games, they've took it upon themselves, thrown the tactics out the window, and look what we did. All right, we lost the game against Bournemouth. We lost the game against Villa. But we looked a lot better in that second half, and I genuinely think the players did that and decided to play how they wanted to play. But that's just my opinion.
Defensively, stats-wise, I know the stats this season are very damning when you compare them to Ange Postecoglou's season, particularly last year when we finished 17th, 22 league defeats, all of that. We're scoring a lot more goals from corners, and defensively, stat-wise, we haven't conceded so many goals. Hussein, is that enough for you? Because I always try and pick out positives, but at the same time, I've said week by week we need to see a lot more.
For me, this guy is now below Christian Gross and Santini. We're there now.
Wow.
I mean, it's pretty bad. He has to stop praising all the other teams and start understanding who we are and how we're supposed to play. And we should play with our chests out like Tottenham. Forget about the results, but go out there and make us proud to play our way, which he doesn't understand. I don't think he to keep saying, oh, we weren't bad, we were pretty good, or these last 5-6 games, it's all crap. He has to understand, because it's, he gave us that speech about taking risks and the Tottenham DNA and playing the Tottenham way, but he has no clue what that means. So for me, it's a hard sell. He's going to have to not just win games. He's going to have to actually show that he understands our culture. He's going to have to stop respecting every mid-table team out there and start making them respect us.
Faz writes here, Frank will be forgiven if we beat Arsenal at home. That'd be a huge result, wouldn't it, for him and Tottenham, especially at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Hussein, finally, how would you assess or how would you review the first half of the season, and do you have hope that Thomas Frank can turn this around? Do you have hope that Spurs will give him all of the tools that he needs in this January transfer window?
I hope so, but I honestly don't think we're going to get the 3 players that we need. We may just get one more. Hopefully it's someone of quality. Hopefully we get some injuries back. I'm not in favor of replacing him now because, again, where do we go? He just has to keep the seat warm for Mr. Tottenham to come back, and he has to just try and move up the table a little bit. I think the first half of the season couldn't have gone any worse. I mean, we're out of both cups in the first round. We're 14th in the league. I don't think it could have gone any worse. So there's nothing to assess. The thing is, can he get from 14th to 8th before the end of the year, and then say goodbye?
Hussein, always a great guest. Thank you so much for joining us.
Right.
And have a good week. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
Cheers, Hussein. See you, mate. Bye-bye.
Right. That is the end of the fan show. Craig, how would you review the fan show? A lot of people seem to be very happy with the signing of Conor Gallagher. For me, what a lot of the guests have said, this needs to be the start. We need a couple more signings in. Thomas Frank obviously needs the tools. We're sitting 14th at the moment in the Premier League table. We need a lot of energy brought into this squad. We need a lot of quality brought into this squad. Have you enjoyed the fan show this evening?
Yeah, it's nice to do one with a bit of upbeat news, isn't it? And a bit of good news. A lot of people still want Frank gone. That's quite clear. But let's see how we get on. Let's see how we get on with bringing in Conor Gallagher. It'll be a good start. A player of the profile we need in the middle of the park to help us out because of all the injuries, as you say. And let's hope he's the first of a few more to come through the door before the transfer window shuts.
It's nice as well, isn't it, to sign a household name who everyone knows, because, Danny Rose, the amount of times he said about, Tottenham, you need to Google these players.
Yeah. I mean, I do videos, and some of the players we link with, I have to look up and look at their stats, because you can't possibly know every single stat on every single player in Europe. I'd love to be able to recall that off my head, but you don't. But some of the players you link to, I do find myself doing a Danny Rose just to see what they're all about. But Conor Gallagher, you kind of know what you're going to get with him. And I think that's a really good thing. I feel very comfortable about this sign. I think that's the best word I can use to describe it, because you know exactly what the player's capable of and you know what you're going to get. So I think this is a good signing for Tottenham, and hopefully it's the first of many, as I say.
Yep. Craig, thanks so much for all of your input today. You've been great. Let's hope that Spurs, this is just a start in this January transfer window, and we bring in a lot more quality. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Remember that we are live every single day during this January transfer window, and of course it does close on the 2nd of Feb at 7 p.m. So we are live every day on YouTube, on X, and on Facebook. We're nearly up to 202,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for all of your incredible support. And remember that all of these episodes are always on all audio platforms as well. Enjoy your week, and look out for more content, as I say, every day. And thanks so much for your support. And come on, you Spurs.
We'll be right back.